The year is 1584. The air carries the smoke of burning villages, a sharp reminder of civil war. Farmers walk with their heads low, fields half-tilled, tools worn thin. Horses clatter down muddy roads, soldiers pass with steel at their waists, and the villagers step aside, silent, fearful. In one corner of this fractured land, a boy grows up untamed. His hair is unkempt, his clothes ragged, his eyes sharp. He does not bow easily, he does not soften his words. He runs through the forest barefoot, chasing the sound of crows, splashing in the river, carving sticks into weapons. The people of the village shake their heads. That boy is wild, they whisper, no discipline, no manners. A wolf among us yet in his restlessness. There is something more, a will as unyielding as iron. At 13 he is challenged, a duel. The villagers gather at the edge of a clearing, whispering, muttering, watching with nervous excitement. The opponent stands tall, older, stronger, a blade glinting at his side. The boy, Musashi, steps forward barefoot, the dirt cool beneath his soles. In his hands, only a wooden staff, cut from a branch, rough and uneven. The breeze carries the smell of sweat and fear. A crow cries once, then silence. The fight begins. The older youth strikes fast, steel flashing in the sun. Musashi does not retreat. He steps in, fierce, reckless, fearless. The wooden staff cracks against bone with a sharp, echoing sound. Gasps rise from the crowd. Dust fills the air. The boy stands, chest heaving, eyes wild. The opponent falls. For a moment, silence grips the clearing. Then the whispers begin again, different this time. Not of a wild boy, but of something else, something dangerous. The road is long, dust rises under bare feet, the air thick with the smell of pine resin and damp earth. Musashi walks alone. No clan crest on his robe, no master's orders in his hand, only a sword at his side, worn smooth from his touch, and a bundle of rags slung across his shoulder. At night he lies beneath the sky, the cold earth pressing against his back, stars scattered above like flecks of broken steel. The cries of night birds echo in the hills, and the wind pushes through the tall grass, carrying with it the damp scent of river water. Others would shiver, curse the loneliness, long for fire and company. Musashi does not. He thrives in it. Solitude is his true companion. At dawn, he kneels beside a river. The whetstone scrapes against his blade, a rhythm that blends with the rush of water. Each stroke sharpens not only steel, but spirit. He eats little, roots, a handful of rice when he is lucky, and drinks from the stream, the cold water biting his teeth. Hunger, silence, the endless road. These are his teachers. Villages pass like dreams. Farmers glance up, wary, as he walks by. Children peer from behind door frames. A stranger, a wanderer, a man with no home. He does not stop long. The road pulls him forward. And always there are duels. Challenges come, like moths to flame. 30, 40, 50. Each one ends the same. Steel meets steel, and still Musashi stands. But he is not learning only the cut of the blade. He learns timing, when to wait, when to strike. He learns silence, the weight of stillness before the clash. He learns to unsettle, to break rhythm, to move like water that flows around a stone. In battle, his face is calm, but his heart beats with a fierce joy. The duel is not a burden, it is his true life. Each victory is another step down the road, another reminder. He belongs not to a lord, not to a clan, but to the way itself. The Ronin's road is lonely, yet in that loneliness Musashi finds his home. It is 1612. The morning sky bleeds pale gold across the inland sea. Waves slap gently against the wooden hull of a boat as it cuts toward a small wind-swept island. On the deck sits Musashi. His hair is tangled, his robe loose. He has not rushed. He has not dressed with care. In his hands lies an oar, rough and splintered. As the boat drifts, he takes a knife and begins to carve. Each stroke peels away wood, slow, deliberate. Shavings curl and scatter into the sea. By the time the island rises close, the oar has become a weapon, long, heavy, shaped for a single strike. On the shore, Sasaki Kojiro waits. Tall, proud, his robes immaculate, his long sword gleams in the sun. It is the drying pole, a blade nearly 4 feet long, famed across the land. Around him, men mutter, their voices tense. Musashi is late, too late. The duel is insult already. The boat scrapes sand. Musashi steps into the shallows, barefoot, his improvised sword resting easily in his hands. His eyes are calm, his body loose, as if he has just awoken from a dream. The crowd draws back, the air thickens, seabirds wheel overhead, their cries sharp against the silence. Kojiro roars and unsheathes his great blade, the steel flashing white fire in the sun. He raises it high, stepping forward, his strikes swift as lightning. The duel is over in a single breath. Musashi does not celebrate. He does not bow. He turns, his wooden sword still in hand, and walks back toward the waiting boat. The sea takes him again, the island fading behind. For those who witnessed it, the memory will never fade. A man who carved victory from driftwood, who struck once and ended a legend. The years pass and the road grows quieter. Musashi still carries his swords, still sharpens his blade, but there is a shift, a softening, a balance. The man who once fought for survival begins to fight with brush, ink and paper. In a dim-lit room, the smell of pine smoke drifts from a brazier. Musashi kneels before a scroll, a brush poised between his fingers. The same hand that once gripped a weapon with merciless strength now hovers, delicate, steady. He breathes out. The brush touches paper. A single black line curves, swift and certain. Another, softer, bending like reed grass in the wind. Slowly, a bird takes form. Wings open, the suggestion of flight. His strokes are bold, unfinished, alive with movement. He paints not with precision, but with spirit. He calls this style Suibokuga, ink painting. In his herons, in his pine trees, in the curve of a mountain, there is the same philosophy he holds in combat. Capture the essence, not the surface. Do not hesitate. Strike once, with clarity. Beyond painting, Musashi carves wooden figures, rough Buddhas, humble and solid. He writes calligraphy, fierce characters, brush strokes that leap from the page like the arc of a sword. The world whispers of his duels, but here, in quiet rooms filled with the scent of ink and cedar, Musashi shapes something else. Peace. For him, there is no divide. The way of the sword, the way of the brush, the way of the spirit, all are one path. Mastery is not found in violence alone, but in discipline, in presence, in balance. The Ronin who once roamed hungry roads now kneels before scroll and canvas, and in the sweep of ink we glimpse the truth of the man. The year is 1645. Japan rests in the quiet grip of the Tokugawa peace. The great battles are over, the provinces subdued, the daimyo bound in loyalty to Edo. But peace has not softened Miyamoto Musashi. He is in his early 60s now, an old man by the measure of warriors. His back is curved, his hair streaked with grey, his body a map of scars, each one a story of survival. The duels that once shook the provinces are behind him, but in his eyes there still burns a clarity, a sharpness honed by decades of wandering, fighting and watching. It is spring. The mountains around Kumamoto are alive with new green. Plum blossoms scatter in the wind, drifting like pale snow against the stone paths. Streams swell with melted water from the peaks. The air smells of wet earth, pine needles, and distant smoke from farmers burning brush. In this season of renewal, Musashi chooses to withdraw. He does not seek court, nor temple, nor bustling village. Instead, he climbs into solitude, to a place of silence. Reigando, the cave of the spirit rock. The cave yawns from the hillside, damp and cool, its walls rough with moss and shadow. Inside, the air is heavy with the scent of stone and dripping water. Bats stir in the high dark, their wings whispering faintly. A reed mat lies on the ground, worn from his sitting. A small lamp burns at his side, its oil faint, its smoke curling against the ceiling. Here Musashi kneels, inkstone before him, a brush in his hand, paper stretched across a low table of rough wood. His hand, the same hand that once split the air with lightning speed, now moves slow, deliberate, yet unshaking. Each stroke is as decisive as a cut in battle. Each word carries the weight of his life. He writes of earth. He begins with grounding, with the solid. To know the earth is to know one's stance. The warrior who stands on unsteady ground has already lost. The merchant without foundations crumbles in debt. The ruler without loyalty falls to rebellion. Earth is constancy. Earth is the root of all things. He writes of water. He recalls rivers crossed in his wanderings, floods that swept away villages, streams that quenched his thirst when no food was near. Water has no shape, yet takes all shapes. A warrior who can flow becomes unstoppable, bend when pressed, crash when freed. In still pools see clearly, in rushing torrents strike with force. He writes of fire, the heat of the clash, the hunger of the spirit. Fire is urgency, fire is life at its sharpest edge. It is not rage, but focus. In battle, fire drives a man forward when his body is near collapse, but fire, uncontrolled, consumes the one who bears it. Fire must be directed, aimed like an arrow. Fire wins only when married to discipline. He writes of wind. Wind carries whispers, carries news, carries the knowledge of others. Musashi recalls the schools of swordsmanship he encountered, proud, rigid, each boasting perfection. He defeated them because he learned them. He studied their forms, their rhythms, their weaknesses. To ignore the wind is blindness. To feel it on your cheek is awareness. To master it is foresight. And finally, he writes of void, the deepest and the most elusive. Void is the silence between thoughts. Void is the place where action springs without hesitation. In the void, the hand moves without plan. The strike appears without decision. The mind is empty and therefore infinite. Musashi does not explain it fully. He cannot. Void is not to be told, but to be entered. It is the mystery that crowns all mastery. The cave listens. The steady scratch of brush on paper is joined by the dripping of water from the ceiling, the occasional call of a bird outside, the shifting of wind in the pines. Hours pass, then days. He eats little. He speaks to no one. The work consumes him as surely as combat once did. He is no longer writing for himself. He writes for those who will come after, rulers who must command, merchants who must decide, scholars who must see beyond words, warriors who must face death with eyes unblinking. His book is not just of war, it is of life itself. When the last page is complete, Musashi sets down the brush. His fingers are stained with ink, his lamp flickers low. He breathes deep of the cave's cool air and listens to the silence, the season, the life around him. What remains is more than paper. It is a path, a mirror for those who dare to look. The Book of 5 Rings. A text born not of theory, but of scars, not of philosophy alone, but of a life walked blade's edge. In every line is his teaching. Strategy is life. Perception is survival. See clearly. Move freely. Live with presence. And in the damp shadows of Reigando, Musashi's wisdom enters the world. a voice carved in ink that still speaks across centuries to anyone willing to listen. As 1645 enters its second season, the land outside is warm with spring. The plum blossoms have fallen, their fragrance fading into the grass. Farmers till their fields below the mountain. Children chase each other in the dust of village paths. The world moves on, but in the stone hollow of Reigando, time slows. Musashi sits cross-legged upon a simple reed mat. His robe is worn thin, his frame lean but unbent. At his side rests his long sword, silent, sheathed. The weapon is no longer for battle. It is an emblem of the road he has walked, the life he has forged. The cave is dim, the air cool. The faint drip of water echoes from stone to stone. A lamp flickers low, its flame casting a trembling glow across the rough walls. At the mouth of the cave, wind slips in and out like a whisper, stirring the edges of his robe. He breathes, slowly, deeply, each exhalation a little longer than the last. His body, scarred and weathered from 6 decades of struggle, begins to rest in stillness. His spirit sharpened by endless duels, countless miles on lonely roads, and the weight of thought and ink, now turns inward. He thinks of nothing. He is not remembering the duels of his youth, nor the faces of his opponents. He is not recalling the dusty roads, the taste of hunger, the nights beneath pine boughs. He is not holding on to triumph or defeat. All that is gone, all that is behind. There is only the rhythm of breath. Outside, the river sings faintly from the valley, carrying its endless water toward the sea. Birds call to each other in the trees, darting through shafts of light. Life continues. The world does not pause, and yet, within the cave, silence deepens, thick, sacred, complete. Musashi's head bows slightly, his breath slows, his hands rest gently upon his knees. The lamp, guttering beside him, flares, then steadies, and then stillness. The Ronin who once roamed half the provinces of Japan, who carved victory from driftwood, who faced death 100 times and walked away, has now met death as he met life, directly, without fear. The body sits motionless. The sword rests in its scabbard. The cave holds him in silence. But beyond that silence, a truth endures. The man is gone. The legend remains. His brushstrokes linger in ink. His philosophy, carved into words, will cross centuries. His duels live in the telling of villagers and samurai alike. His name, Miyamoto Musashi, will echo in halls and whispers, in battlefields and dojos, in stories carried like wind through time. Outside, the spring wind sighs against the mountain face. The blossoms fall, the river flows, and within the cave of stone, silence becomes eternity.